bankrupt if the model doesn't exactly hit the performance level. How do you think about that? Also as a risk on, you guys are investors in OpenAI and Thinking Machines and World Apps. It seems like we're leveraging the scaling loss at a pretty high rate.
Right.
Like, how comfortable, I guess, do you feel with the downside scenario? Like, and say like things peter out, you think you can kind of like restructure these build outs and, capital investments?
Yeah. So I should start by saying, so I lived through the dot-com crash, and I can tell you stories for hours about the dot-com crash, and it was horrible. No, it was awful. It was apocalyptic. By the way, a lot of the dot-com crash was actually, at the time, it was actually a telecom crash. It was a bandwidth crash. Like the thing that actually crashed that wiped out all the money was the telecom companies.
Global crossing.
Global. Yeah. So
I'm from Singapore, and they laid so much cable over our oceans.
Actually, there was a scaling law in the dot-com era, and it was literally the U.S. Commerce Department put out a report in 1996, and they said internet traffic was doubling every quarter. And actually, in 1995 and 1996, internet traffic actually did double every quarter. And so that became the scaling law. And so what all these telecom entrepreneurs did was they went out and they raised money to build fiber, anticipating that the demand for bandwidth was going to keep doubling every quarter. Doubling every quarter, though, is like, grains of chess on the chessboard. Like at some point, the numbers become extremely large, right? And it really what happened was the internet, by the way, continuously kept growing basically since inception. It's continuously grown. It's never shrunk. And it's grown really fast compared to anything else, in human history. But it wasn't doubling every quarter as of 1998, 1999. Right. And so there was this gap in the expectation of what they thought was a scaling law versus reality. And that's actually what caused the dot-com crash, which was companies like Global Crossing way overbuilt fiber, which is sort of by the way, fiber, telecom equipment, so all the networking gear, and then by the way, the actual physical data centers, like that was the beginning of the data center build and then data center overbuild. And so you had that, but it was literally, I think it was like $2 trillion got wiped out, right? It was like, it was like and by the way, the other subtlety in it was the internet companies themselves never really had any debt, because tech companies generally don't run on debt, but the telecom companies run on debt. Physical infrastructure companies run on debt. And so the companies like Global Crossing not just raised a lot of equity, they also raised a lot of debt. So they're highly levered. And so then you just do the thing of just like, okay, you have a highly levered thing where you're just you're overbuilding capacity. Demand is growing, but not as fast as you hoped, and then boom, bankrupt, right? And then it's like they say about the hotel industry, which is it's always the third owner of a hotel that makes money, right? It has to go bankrupt twice, right? You have to wash out all of the over-optimistic exuberance before it gets to actually a stable state, and then it makes money. So by the way, all of those data centers and all the fiber that
they're in use,
it's all in use today, but 25 years later. But it took, and actually the elapsed time was it took 15 years. It took 15 years from 2000 to 2015 to actually fill up all that capacity. The cautionary warning is the overbuild can happen, and you get into this thing where basically everybody who basically has any sort of institutional capital is like, wow, it's just I don't know how to invest in these crazy software things, but for sure I can build data centers, and for sure I can buy GPUs, and I can deploy compute grids and all these things. And so, if you're a pessimist, you could look at this and you could say, wow, this is like really set up to be able to basically replicate, what we went through in 2000. Obviously that would be bad. The counter argument, which is the one I agree with, which is the counter on the other side, is a couple things. One is the companies that are investing the companies that are investing the money are like the bluest chip of companies. And so back in the like Global Crossing was like an entrepreneur, it's like a new venture, but like the money that's being deployed now at scale is Microsoft and and Amazon and Google, Facebook. Right, and Facebook and Nvidia and these and now by the way, OpenAI and Anthropic, which are now at like really serious size. As companies with, very serious revenue. These are very large scale companies with like lots of cash, lots of debt capacity that they've never used. And so this is institutional in a way that really wasn't at the time. And then the other is, at least for now, every dollar that's being put into anything that results in a running GPU is being turned into revenue right away. Like, so, and you guys know this, like everybody's starved for capacity. Everybody's starved for compute capacity, and then, all the associated things, memory and interconnect and everything else, data center space. And so every dollar right now that's being put in the ground is turning into revenue. And